Hey, I'm Rick Salmon. I'm here in Iceland for Adorama TV. I'm on a workshop. The question that I get asked most on a workshop, no matter where I am around the world, is, Rick, what are your settings? Well, I say more important than that is, what is your creative vision? Because it's your creative vision that help you determine your settings. And your settings may be different from my settings. Of course, I help the students out, but right now I'd like to give you a brief overview of settings. Your aperture helps you determine how much of the scene in front of and behind the focus point is in focus. So at a small aperture, you get a lot of the scene in focus. At a wide aperture, you get less of the scene in focus. When it comes to shutter speed, you want to use a slow shutter speed to blur the action. You want to use a fast shutter speed to freeze the action. The ISO is yet another setting because the ISO helps you determine your f-stop shutter speed combination. So at a low ISO, what you can do is shoot at a slow shutter speed and a wide aperture, but as you boost up that ISO, you can shoot at a faster shutter speed and a smaller aperture. And the other control, the other very important setting or control, is your exposure. If the scene is very average in exposure and brightness and contrast range, you can shoot at 0 exposure compensation. But when there's contrast in the scene, that's when you can vary your exposure compensation over and under that 0 exposure compensation setting. So in a scene like this, there's a lot of white in the scene. So that's going to fool the camera's meter into thinking the scene is brighter than it is. I'm going to get a darker picture. And the opposite would happen. So before I go off and take some more pictures, you're probably asking, Rick, what are your settings? Well, I'll tell you my settings right here for this great scene. I'm shooting at 1/5 of a second to blur the moving water. I'm shooting at f/22 because I want a lot of the scene in focus, and I'm shooting at +1 1/3 again because all that bright area is fooling the in-camera's exposure meter into thinking the scene is brighter than it is, which would result in an underexposed picture, so that's why I had to do that. I'm also checking my histogram. Now you're probably asking, well, what's your ISO? I'm shooting at ISO 100, again, because that ISO setting helps you control your f-stop and your shutter speed combination. Just another tip here. Vary your angle. I've been moving all around here looking for different angles. This scene is pretty nice, but I see some other scenes like up on the mountain under the falls here. So I'm going to go shoot now, and I'll catch you later.